email saljan@gmail.com. And today, my guest to help us with the conversation around emotional infidelity, Dr. Cherme T. Daboni, a counselor with the Counseling Center here in your University of Competitive Choice, UCC, and Rosetta Sharon Amo, National Service Personnel, Counseling Center, UCC. This more or less like catch them young, isn't it? And they shall be yours forever. Good morning, lady and gentlemen.
Good morning.
I am particularly intrigued about what the Counseling Center has been doing over the past month, and the topics you put on table, thought-provoking, and many thanks to the team. Many thanks to the director, Dr. Rita Holm Ajovier. Dr. Ajovier, wherever you are, good morning to you, and you're doing great. We are proud of what the Counseling Center is doing. I know that the other departments, the other colleges will emulate, just like the Counseling Center, IEPA, and SEGRED has been doing. Emotional infidelity. I want to begin with you, but people, you're at liberty to send us your thoughts, your questions. 0275 14 49 49 0595 7438 66. This is ATL FM 100.5. Rosetta, what is infidelity? What is emotional infidelity? Just give us a background so we can set the pace and then look at some other bits to it.
Okay, so when we talk about infidelity is when unfaithfulness occurs in marriages or relationships. And usually when we talk about infidelity, people focus only on the physical aspects of it, like having sexual relationships. But they don't know much about emotional infidelity. Well, some people know about emotional infidelity, but they rationalize their thoughts to make it look like they're not doing anything bad. So when we talk about emotional infidelity, it is when there is a non-sexual relationship between someone who is in a relationship or marriage with another person, where the relationship includes all the emotional aspects of a romantic relationship. And when we talk about the emotional aspects of a romantic relationship, it includes commitment, constant communication, affection, and even intimacy, not as in sex, but being extra close to the person. Yeah, and usually emotional infidelity begins with the petty things, like usual lunch dates, sharing too much information that should be reserved.
Oh, lunch date is petty. Takes a lot of effort. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and then office banter, flirtatious texting, sexual innuendos, giving yourself nicknames. Yeah, so that's how it usually starts.
But how different is emotional infidelity from the physical one, aside the non-sexual ones? How do we decipher between emotional infidelity and the physical one?
Usually with the physical affairs, they are planned. But with emotional affairs, they are not planned. It starts as platonic, and then as you two get closer, the affair creeps into the friendship. Yeah.
Doc, how does this start? How does this start? Is it through a dream? Is it just about how does it start?
Yeah, so like she indicated, it starts with the petty things, like catching an eye with the individual, asking for lunch, flirtatious texting and all that. So it starts with the very basic things, and then as the relationship grows, it dovetails into several other serious things. So it always starts with the basic things.
Is it possible it will start unconsciously? You're unaware that this thing will lead into that, but you end up getting into it?
Well,
because something like going out for lunch, that's not bad to go out on a lunch date with somebody. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about dating, which people have misconstrued. And you told us, the counseling center told us, that dating in itself is not a bad thing.
Yes.
So can it happen unconsciously that you begin with a very clear conscience just let's go on a date, and then one day, 1 minute, little drops of water, then they aggregate.
Of course, one thing definitely leads to the other. It can start from a very unconscious point with a very clear conscience. For example, asking for lunch or going out for lunch with an individual. But one thing will lead to the other. You look at the individual, the person, the way the person smells, how the person speaks, the way the individual dresses. And so these little things will begin to catch your attention. And then you begin to pay particular attention to these things, and then you would want more. And then that is where the messaging and other things will start, and then from there it will develop, and then by the time you realize, your whole heart is in there, your emotions are in there, and people grieve a lot when they lose such relationships.
Is it easy to end an emotional affair compared to the physical one? After all, you didn't have any physical contact. There wasn't any exchange of anything physical. Is it easy?
It's not easy at all. It is very, very difficult. It is difficult. And it is difficult because your heart is involved. Your feelings and emotions are involved. And normally, the individual or the person fulfills something you are not getting from your partner. And so it makes it difficult because you are getting something extra. There is some gap that is being filled for you. And so moving away from it becomes difficult. And like I indicated, people grieve a lot when they lose such relationships.
Rosetta, which gender is prone to emotional infidelity?
Okay, so
you guys or us?
A research study by Dr. Louis Husband showed that about 78.6% of men are involved in an emotional affair, while 91.6% of women are in an emotional affair. That doesn't mean that women cheat a lot, but men can have infidelity, as in the physical aspect, without attaching emotions to it. But women usually attach emotions to almost everything they do. So, yeah.
So your research says that, let's get the percentage again,
okay,
so that we can then break it down well before you jump into conclusions.
So the research states that 78.6% of men are involved in an emotional infidelity, while 91.6% of women are having an emotional affair.
What does it mean, these percentages, Dr. Daboni? It means that who is ahead of who?
No, like she stated, it does not really mean that women cheat a lot than men. But it is so because women normally will attach emotions to the things they do. A man can be in a relationship, get whatever he wants, but he will not necessarily attach any emotion. And so the individual does not go through any pain or any harm. And that is why many people indicate that women are emotionally heartbroken, or they go through a lot of heartbreaks than women. So it's as a result of these things.
And how do I know I'm going through some emotional affair, though?
Yeah. When you get to that point, you see, you may want to do fun activities with the person. The person is always present in your mind. You are always thinking about the individual, and you are very intentional about spending time with the person. And also, you want to go out your way to please the individual. Things you may not be doing for your partner are things you will go out your way to do for the individual. And there is what we call an intimate language. By this, I'm referring to giving the individual pet names.
Examples of these pet names.
I have heard somebody calling oh my world, dear, and those kind of things. Ideally, the person will not be giving these names to his or her partner, but will begin to give these names to the person he or she is in an emotional affair with. And these are some of the indicators. Once it gets to this point, then you are going through an emotional affair.
I thought you were going to give us some bits of the pet names, Rosetta.
LUML.
What does that mean?
Love of my life.
Oh. Okay. But what causes emotional infidelity, Rosetta?
Okay, so the first thing I'd like to talk about is lack of emotional intimacy in the relationship or the marriage. So when partners feel emotionally disconnected from each other, they feel like each other's needs are being neglected. They tend to look outside, to fill that void. And when there's lack of communication, so some people find it difficult to resolve their issues. And when there are unresolved issues, they tend to resent each other, and then they become not fulfilled in their relationship. So sometimes they can be in the relationship, but within their heart, they know that they've left. And then some people just don't have boundaries. So
boundaries in terms of?
Relating with the opposite sex. So you can meet someone for the first time, and then the person comes, like the person starts giving you pet names. You get it? So since they don't have boundaries, they tend to engage in emotional affairs a lot. So, and then, for instance, when you're in a relationship or you're married, you're not supposed to have affairs outside the marriage or the relationship. So when you don't have these boundaries, then you begin to do anything you like outside the marriage. And then sometimes major life adjustments, like you lose a loved one, you lose your job, you move to a new place. There's this void that needs to be filled. So you get it from somewhere, and then the emotional affair begins. And sometimes just because of temptation.
Oh.
So let's say you work together with this person, very close with the person, you always almost spend time together, not because you just want to spend time together, but because of work. So as you get close to each other, then you start having emotions for the person.
Doc, how do you know your partner is in this web, emotional infidelity?
Normally they begin to lose focus. When you are interacting with them, there is something else they are thinking about. They don't give you the attention they used to give, and so there is something that is drifting them away, and it is obvious. Many a time there is this particular person they would want to talk about. They talk about how they spend time with the person, how the individual affects their lives, how the person is helping them here and there. And so that is one side of it. But there are others who would obviously show no signs, but certain things will still give them out. Times when you are talking with them, like I indicated early on, you will see them, you will see that their mind is very far off from where you are. Although they are present, but they are very absent.
Sometimes they're thinking about the family and what the next meal will be.
Not necessarily. Their mind is preoccupied by some episodes they are having with this person they are into this emotional affair with. And they move away from the very things they were doing earlier. And these are signs. Once you see these, then it should give you a cause of concern. You need to sit, begin to communicate, and see what is wrong.
What qualifies somebody to have an emotional affair? Is it only when you're in a relationship or a marriage? Or somebody who is not in a relationship or marriage can be having some emotional thoughts that drives the person crazy, if I may say.
Yeah, people can get into emotional affairs, but the point we are stressing is emotional infidelity. So you can be in an emotional affair, but not necessarily an emotional infidelity. If you are not married, if you are not in a relationship, and there is this person you are fantasizing with, you are trying to be with the person so you can move along with this individual, that cannot be considered an emotional infidelity. You are in an emotional affair, and that is a good one. It may help you to eventually get what you want. But if you are in a relationship, then there is a problem.
People, if you just tune in, this is ATL FM 100.5. This is the Atlantic Way. We're on the issue segment on the Atlantic Way, proudly brought to us by Southern Medical Center. Your health just got better once you decide to associate yourself with Southern Medical Center. Today it's time with UCC, and like we do every Monday, it's time with the Counseling Center. And we are discussing emotional infidelity. Dr. Chirmeti Daboni, counselor with the Counseling Center, UCC, here as my guest, and also Rosetta Sharon Amo, National Service Personnel with the Counseling Center, which Doc and Dr. Ajovie decided to catch young and bring her here to start this journey, helping us. You can send us your thoughts, 0275 1449 4905 957438. And I think I'm getting your messages already. What may drive a man, for example, from home to engage in emotional infidelity? Mauli, thank you for doing the listening. And I think the Rosetta touched on some of the bit. I mean, why somebody will move out when communication and other things are not going on well. You're not allowing your partner to sit up, if I may. Rosetta, which one is worse? An emotional infidelity or affair, or a physical one?
The emotional one.
Why?
So yeah, with the physical one, you're done. So everybody can go. But with the emotions, when the emotional one, you've invested your emotions, you've invested your feelings. So getting away from it is difficult. And also, since you're in a relationship or you're married, you tend to lose focus, and you might not do what your partner wants. As in, you might be failing the marriage or the relationship. So the quality of your relationship or your marriage may go down because you are focused on one person that is not your partner. Yeah.
Dr. Daboni, if I unexpectedly find myself in an emotional affair, what do I do? How do I jump out or walk out of it?
Because we are coming from the counseling center, I would say seek professional help. That obviously is the number one thing to do. You can seek professional help. You can see a counselor or a psychologist to help you go through that. And also, you need to be very intentional about your relationship. Many a time when people get married.
Now, let me take you back. When you say you have to be intentional about your relationship, how do you mean?
Yeah, that's the point.
Conscious working, day by day, making sure that you're growing.
Yes, paying attention to the things that will make the marriage work. People, when they are not into marriage, when they are dating, they tend to do a lot of things, spend time together, giving gifts, and a whole lot.
Somebody said that at that point the jollof is very nice. It tastes nice, but it's not true anyway. But that's what people say. I know it's not true.
Yeah, that is what people think. And so they give it a lot of gift. They are so very intentional about the things they do. But once they are married, then they turn into something else. the person who was dressing so well got married, and now the individual is dressing anyhow. And these things have the potential to move your partner away from you. And so you need to be very, very intentional about getting your marriage work.
0275144949. We'll be drawing the curtain on this particular conversation, so you can share your thoughts with us. If you have any questions, 0275144905957438. 6 of these are engagement platforms you can get interactive with. I want to come back to you, Rosetta. Is it possible someone can have an emotional affair without realizing it? That you don't even know this is what you've gotten yourself into? Is it possible?
No. Well, when it's beginning, you might not know, but when you're far into it, you know that you're having some emotions towards this person. Yeah.
What are some of the effects? I know we've touched on a bit of that, but let's sum it up. What are some of the effects of emotional infidelity?
So, first of all, your partner might lose trust for you. Yeah, so if they used to trust you, they used to think so highly of you, it will come down. They might not trust you again, even when you decide to change. And it causes psychological trauma on the partner who is being cheated on. It might make it look like they are not good enough for you. Maybe there's something you are getting from the other partner that you're not getting from them. And therefore, it's going to make them look down on themselves. And they're going to feel betrayed because we are in this together, so why looking elsewhere? And ultimately, it might end up in divorce or breakup.
That's the worst.
Yes.
Okay. Doug, it's getting interesting, but we have to end it. But how do I move past emotional infidelity?
I think we've addressed that. You first of all would have to be very intentional about your relationship, as I indicated earlier. You can seek professional help. You must also accept that you have been unfaithful, and that is key. Is very, very key. Accepting that you've been unfaithful. If you accept you have a challenge, you are in a better position to work at the challenge than just thinking that nothing is wrong. And so accepting that you have been unfaithful is very, very key. And that will help you to seek the professional help that I'm talking about. It will help you to be very intentional about your relationship. And also, there is the need for you to always set boundaries. You need to set a boundary as an individual. There are things you should intentionally not cross. You need to know yourself. You need to know your strengths and your weaknesses, and then that will help you to guard away emotional infidelity.
Finally, on your part, Rosetta, your parting message.
Okay, so people who are in a relationship or people who are married, you go out of your homes, you go to work, you meet new people. Maybe you might be getting closer to someone, but don't forget you're in a relationship and don't forget you're married. Be intentional about your relationship or marriage and focus on it.
Right, thank you. Maybe, Doc, finally 30 seconds.
Yeah, relationships need to work. And becoming emotionally attached to someone else who is not your partner is something that can crash your relationship. And so, as my colleague indicated, we need to be very, very intentional about getting our own relationships work. It can always work if we put our minds to it, so that we can move away from being emotionally infidel to the other partner. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, lady and gentlemen, for your time. People, you just heard from Dr. Chiremeti Daboni, counselor with the Counseling Center here in UCC, in Rosetta Sharon Amo. Rosetta is a national service personnel with the Counseling Center here in UCC, helping us with the conversation around emotional infidelity. This is the first conversation we're having today. We have another one coming your way, and we are having a conversation with the National Health Insurance people here in the Central Region, and we are discussing the NHIS catering for dialysis treatment so far, how far in the Central Region. You're still tuned into ATL FM 100.5